What's going on, guys? Today I'm back with another hat format replay review for you guys. If you're interested in sending in your hat format replays, you can go down to the video description and find all the information on how to go about sending those in. Anyways, the match I have for you today, we have Extra Power, who is going to be on Evilswarm, versus Argon Grice, who is going to be on Hieratic Gishki. This should be a very interesting match, and I think for the most part, this can kind of come down to who wins the rock, paper, scissors, as, you know, obviously Ophion is kind of a pain for the Hieratic Gishki deck, but we will have to see. It definitely can play through it at times, but I think this is going to be quite an important rock, paper, scissors here, and it looks like Argon Grice is going to be able to start this one out, so that is extremely lucky here. And yeah, so let's get straight into this. Opening hands, we see Infestation Infection, Rescue Rabbit, Skullmeister, Mandragora, and Bottomless. And on the other side, we see Tefnuit, Labradorite Dragon, Beautiful Princess, Hieratic Dragon Asu, and Gus Kraken. So a pretty solid hand, honestly. The Princess can get them into their spell in a sense. So let's just let this play out and see how it goes. Here, drawing a copy of Vision for turn, so actually really strong there as well, as this kind of gives you more recursion in this exact scenario. So here, it looks like they're going to start with that Princess, use the effect, banishing it to summon a Gishki from deck. Here, they're going to go for a copy of Abyss. Abyss can activate, probably adding, Shadow, which can discard itself to add the Ritual spell. And then the Vision also has the ability to discard to add the Ritual monster, but it looks like they're actually just going to go for the Aquamirror here. And they're going to attribute the Tefnuit to summon a copy of Gus Kraken. Here, Gus Kraken and Tefnuit trigger. So Tefnuit, actually the Skullmeister is going to be chained here. And they are going to be stopping the Tefnuit here. I guess the order in which they do it, because Skullmeister has to be chained directly to the card. This met the requirement first, so this does, I guess, in theory, have to be chain link 1 if I'm remembering correctly. Though if this is, let me just see, when this card's rituals, and look at, so this is mandatory actually, versus this is also mandatory. So I'm actually not sure there. Someone will have to let me know in the comment section exactly with that. I've been doing a lot of videos today and my mind kind of shut off in certain situations. But in general, it looks like it's going to stop the Tefnuit here, and then the Gus Kraken's going to trigger to look at 2 cards and shuffle 1 back. So here, having the Mandragora and the Rescue Rabbit, shuffling back the copy of Rescue Rabbit. And then from here, Vision is going to activate, discarding to add a copy of Evagishki Tetra Ogre, and just passing it there. Yeah, I guess that sort of made sense there. There wasn't a whole lot they could do in that exact situation because they don't have a way to get the Gus Kraken off board to be able to then add the Aquamirror back from the graveyard. But anyways, here, Extra Power gets the Rescue Rabbit. Did they shuffle? Let me actually check the log here to just double check that they actually shuffled that, because that's crazy to re-get it. Here, return to top of deck, view, shuffle deck. Yeah, so they did shuffle it and they just happened to redraw it there, which is honestly really, really crazy. So here they're starting their turn by special summoning the copy of Mandragora. And then they can summon the rabbit, which is really good because if there was like a Veiler or anything strange like that, they still have access to a rank 4. And so here, summoning the Rescue Rabbit, and so they even were like just checking for the shuffle, because that is a very insane, because Rescue Rabbit's at 1 in this format. Anyways, Rescue Rabbit's going to activate, summoning 2 copies of Heliotrope from deck. And from here, they're going to overlay the 2 Heliotrope. That's also good, leaving the Mandragora so that you can shuffle it back with the Infection if need be. But here, going for a copy of Ophion, which is a really, really good card, as I said before, adding a copy of Pandemic. And now battle phase, the Ophion can run over the Gus Kraken, and the Mandragora can go over the Abyss. Main phase 2, setting 3 over to Argon Grice, who gets a copy of Abyss. So it's at least the start trying to get out of this. Here they can now use the Aquamirror, shuffling it back in and trying to add the Gus Kraken, so they will. And yeah, they are just going to scoop it up there. There's not a really good way to out that unless they can get to exactly, what's the one? The Gishki Beast, the level 4, and then bring back the Shadow and make a rank 4. That's like your best option, and it would take a turn or two to do that. And at that point, you know, they already had the infection on board, so it was a good chance that extra power here could probably make a big push and wouldn't really allow them to get to that too easily. So here, going into game number 2, Argon will be able to start this one out again. Opening hands, we see Thunderbird, Heliotrope, Upstart, Breakthrough Skill, and Chalice. And on the other side, we see Aquamere, Upstart, Shadow, Hieratic Dragon Nasu, and Abyss. And here they will get a draw for turn, getting a copy of Flying Sea. That's definitely one way to deal with Evilswarm, though the Chalice can kind of negate it depending on what they end up doing, because obviously, again, the Hieratic Gishki deck can hand loop, so that can be pretty scary. Here, they're going to summon the Abyss, add a copy of Vision, and they're going to use Vision to discard and add a copy of Guzkragen. After that, Upstart into Upstart, the usual. Upstart into Soul Charge. Okay, activate the Aquamere, getting rid of the Sue to summon the Guzkragen. Here using the Sue and Guzkragen. And they have the option to shuffle either a Heliotrope or Upstart. Probably going to go for the Upstart, not giving them the chance in case they have Rescue Rabbit to have that live. So yep, getting rid of the Upstart and then summoning a copy of Labradorite. After that, synchroing for a copy of Beals, going Soul Charge, bringing back the Abyss and the Labradorite and the Sue, so going for a big thing, and here extra power just scoops it up. They see that they aren't going to be able to beat that type of board, so very quick game number 2. Game number 3, let's see what happens. Opening hands, we see Debunk, Heliotrope, Max C, Mandragora, and a copy of Pandemic. On the other side, we see Vision, Chalice, Vision, Aquamere, and Sue, and here extra power will draw for turn, getting a copy of Heliotrope, so not really a way into Ophion, so this might actually be an interesting match starting out. Here they're going to summon Heliotrope, set 2, over to Argon, who now gets a copy of Flying Sea. They're going to start their turn by activating Vision to add... they're going to think for a second, adding a copy of Guzkragen here, activating the Aquamere, and Max C is chained to that, so getting rid of the Sue and going for the Guzkragen here, both activating. And extra power is going to draw in a lure, which will happen before the Guzkragen resolves here because the summon happens first. And now there's the option of the Heliotrope or Mandragora. They're going to, again, shuffle back the Mandragora there. And the Sue is going to summon a copy of Labradorite. That was a Sue, right? Yeah, it was Sue. So they are going to get the Labradorite here. And here, because that summon, extra power gets a draw, getting a copy of Kirkion. After that, Vision is going to be normal summon, so again, just going into a Synchro, going into another copy of Beals, extra power gets a copy of Thunderbird, running over the Heliotrope, attacking in for 3,000 damage, and then setting a back row. Here, extra power gets a copy of Upstart, they're going to use the Upstart, getting a copy of Torrential, going Allure, getting Breakthrough and Upstart, banishing a copy of Heliotrope, activating Upstart, getting a copy of Caster. Okay, that's a start. Summon Caster, and then summon Thunderbird. People might question this if you don't know too much about how Caster works, but as soon as Caster summoned, you get the ability to actually have the additional summon, so this Chalice would not negate the additional summon here, so there's no reason to use the Chalice here. So then Thunderbird is summoned here, and Flying Sea is going to be summoned on that, but Debunk is going to be able to be activated, so it's actually going to banish the Flying Sea, so, you know, that's extremely strong. They're talking off to the side, I'm not entirely sure what that says, unfortunately. I believe it's Italian, if anyone knows, definitely, you know, comment in the comment section on that. But here going for a copy of Evilswarm Bahamut, we don't see this very often, but it's a very good card. It says once per turn you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, discard 1 E-Swarm monster, and if you do, take control of the opponent's monster. So it's kind of like a Snatch Steal, so activating that, detaching the Caster, going for the Beals. Here the Chalice is going to be activated, but that is going to be met with the pandemic, so they are going to be able to take the Beals here. And I guess one other thing to keep in mind, that is a permanent take. That's not till the end phase or anything like that. So going to battle phase, running over the Guzkragan, attacking in with the Bahamut, and then having quite a lot of back row backed up there. You know, Torrential and Breakthrough is very strong. Here, Argon is going to get a copy of Chalice, which unfortunately isn't great. They're going to be able to use Aqua Mirror to shuffle itself back and get a copy of Guzkragan, setting the Chalice over to Extra Power, who now gets a copy of Breakthrough, goes battle phase, and Argon's just trying to see if they can draw into anything. Getting a copy of Tefnuit isn't going to do it, and so Extra Power does take that one. Honestly, kind of a cool game to see. Like I said, I was kind of expected that Evilswarm does have the advantage in this matchup, but in general, I thought it was a pretty good match overall, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it, comment any questions you see in the future, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to go down to the video description to find out how to send in your hat format replays. Even if it was a match that you lost, but you felt the match was really good, or you played against a very interesting deck, or anything like that, feel free to send it in. And anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.